So we'll continue with the second line. The best discipline is taming your mind stream. So, to tame our mind stream, we have to reduce our afflictions. That's one of the main things before we can even work on the cognitive obscurations that prevent omniscience. We have to reduce the afflictions and, we have to eliminate them. And before we can eliminate them, we have to reduce them. And in order to reduce them, we have to know what causes them. Okay, also to eliminate, we need to know what causes them. So the Lamrim talks about 6 factors which cause the arising of the afflictions. And here, what we're talking about is the manifest afflictions, okay? What causes afflictions to be manifest in our mind so that they take control of our mind and pull us here, pull us there, make us control karma, create karma, okay? So we're talking about the gross afflictions that are, that we succumb to all the time. Okay, so one of the factors that causes them is we have the predisposition or the seed of the affliction. Okay, so what the seed of the affliction is it's a potency for the affliction to arise. So right now, let's say you're not angry, but that doesn't mean that anger is gone from your mind stream altogether. Yeah. So there's no manifest anger right now. Yeah, you can have manifest anger, then you can have a period of no anger, and then something triggers it, and you have manifest anger again. So what is it that connects this anger with this anger? Yeah, you have the seed of the anger. Yeah? So when it's not manifest, it goes into the form of a potency, and then when it's triggered later, it comes up as manifest. Yeah. So, of course, that seed is one of the as part of the afflictive obscurations that we want to get rid of. But what this means is, as long as we have the seeds of the different afflictions in our mind stream, then we need to be very careful, because any kind of cooperative condition can provoke them, and then they become manifest. Okay, so what are those cooperative conditions? Well, one is the object, contact with the object specifically. Yeah, so we can see this in our own experience. You may be going along completely fine, yeah, but as soon as you smell those chocolate chip cookies, attachment arises. Yeah, today I didn't smell them, no attachment. Yesterday I smelled them, attachment. Yeah, so contact with the object. So this is one of the reasons why when you're doing retreat, why you come to a quiet place to do retreat. Because when you're at home, you have contact with all the objects that give rise to your attachment, to your anger, to your jealousy, to your arrogance, to all these kinds of things, yeah? This is also one reason why when people ordain, they go to live in a monastery, try to reduce the contact with the objects that trigger the arise of the afflictions, okay? So this isn't an escape method from reality. What it is it's like by avoiding the object, it gives you some mental space to be able to go deeper in your practice and understand how the afflictions arise, understand that they're based on ignorance, understand how the wisdom realizing emptiness counteracts the ignorance, and then to understand, to cultivate that wisdom. So we're not escaping. It's like taking a break so that you can really develop your strong antidotal powers. It's kind of like if you want to be a doctor, just having the motivation to be a doctor isn't going to make you one, in the same way that just having the motivation not to have afflictions arise isn't going to make them not arise. You know, if you want to be a doctor, you have to do something. So you have to go to medical school. Yeah. So, you know, the motivation isn't enough. You don't want somebody to operate on you who hasn't been to medical school and surgery internship, okay? So same way, we need a break to go deeper in our practice to develop the antidotes to the affliction. So that's why for retreat you go to a quieter place. For, you know, monastic practice, you also do that. Okay? And we can see that quite immediately in our own practice. Yeah? That when we have some distance from the object, the affliction related to that object doesn't arise as easily. Of course, if our mind thinks about the object, then the affliction arises. Okay? So you could be 100 million miles away and think about the chocolate chip cookies, and pow, your affliction arises. Okay, so why does that affliction arise? Because you don't really have contact with the object at that time. Okay, well then there's a third factor that makes afflictions arise. It's called inappropriate attention. Okay, so this is a mental factor that exaggerates the good qualities, the bad qualities, some quality of the object, or projects qualities that aren't there, and then that triggers the affliction to arise. Okay, so you aren't near your boyfriend, but you think of him, and like, boo, you know. Why? Because that inappropriate attention is projecting that, you know, what is actually foul is beautiful, that what is in the nature of suffering is happiness, that what is impermanent is permanent, that what doesn't have its own nature has its own inherent nature. Okay? So this inappropriate attention is distorting, you know, how we're cognizing the object and producing affliction. Okay? So this is one that the inappropriate attention, this is one that we really try to work on in our practice to calm this one down. And so when you have an affliction arise in your meditation, then instead of just trotting after it, kind of like it's the sergeant and you're just following instructions, then you stop and you say, am I seeing this object correctly? Here's this person. What are they really? Okay, skin, bones, flesh, blood, and a mind stream. Okay, is there anything that is, you know, pure in all of that? Is there anything that is clean in all of that? What am I desiring? Okay, then you say, you know, then you watch and how your mind goes, oh, but being with that person is going to make me happy. Then you stop and you say, what kind of happiness is that? Is it true happiness? Or is it just the happiness that is making my gross suffering go down a little bit? Is it the happiness that's going to last a long time? Or is it the happiness that's going to change with changing circumstances? Or the happiness that will even change because my mind gets tired of it? Because that kind of happiness after a while becomes actually unpleasant. Okay, so you start doing this questioning process of, am I seeing this object correctly? Or somebody, you're sitting and meditating 1,000,000 miles away from, and 20 years away from what somebody, in grade school said to you that hurt your feelings tremendously. And you remember, Susie Jones or, Bobby Smith in, 5th grade said da-da-da-da-da-da to me. And like, I even think of it now and it's like, I'm so angry at him. He destroyed my self-confidence. And, he didn't pick me to be a member of his team. And he told everybody why, because I was so awful. And you've been holding on to this for, 20, 30, 40 years. And, and so you stop and you say, am I seeing this situation correctly? Yeah? Why do I have to experience so much pain as an adult because, Susie Jones or Bobby Smith did such and such to me when I was in 5th grade? Is it happening now? No. Was it really such a catastrophe that nobody else on the entire planet has ever experienced? I think everybody in 5th grade has gone through something like that. Yeah. So why am I, all these years later, so upset about it? Yeah. And then the mind, well, he did this to me. And then you start remembering the thought training teachings, and you say, well, yeah, he may have said or done that, but why did that happen to me? Because I created the karma in a previous lifetime, or earlier this lifetime, for that to happen. So if I created the karma, why am I so mad at Susie and Bobby? Why aren't I mad? Why don't I distrust my own self-centered thought that made me create that negative karma that brought that suffering upon me? Because Bobby and Susie were like kids. They were just the cooperative condition. Their minds were ruled by affliction. It's the real cause is my own karma, which was caused by my self-grasping and self-centeredness. So why don't I point my finger at those? Why don't I drop the anger at Bobby and Susie and put some energy into eliminating my self-centeredness and my self-grasping? That would do me a lot more good than holding on to these hurt feelings and hatred for Bobby and Susie for another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Because I really don't want to die with my last thought being of what somebody said to me in 5th grade. So if I don't want to die with that being my last thought, why do I keep holding on to that now? Okay, so you apply the thought training teachings, all these different techniques, to help us undo the inappropriate attention that is one of the causes for the afflictions to rise. Okay, so we did 3 of them today. The seed, the object, and then the inappropriate attention. So we'll continue on. But I think there's something here to think about and practice, maybe.